slippery. Well, successfully did not say what time of day it was. Which I have been doing in, I think, almost every video I've made so far. So, how did it go? I hope that it has been wonderful. I know that all of the stuff that's going on right now with social distancing, it is a little bit weird, inciting or panic-inducing for some of us, and stressful, and with everything. I just genuinely hope that you're doing good. I personally have a little bit of anxiety just about how long the studio will be closed for. But other than that, like, I spend a lot of my day alone anyways. I work by myself. So between being here with it empty and being at my house with my kids, a lot of this feels kind of like my everyday. So it doesn't feel incredibly different to me, except for the fact that I get all of my work done in the morning, and then I just have the rest of the day to just do nothing and be with my kids, and we've been going for walks and runs and exploring the bush. It's been like awesome having them be home from school and just having extra time with them. The first, like, I don't know, week, the first probably 5 days of that, there's a little bit of extra fighting because, I don't know, like 4 kids in one house and they're not allowed to go out and be with their friends and get any space from each other. There's like extra fighting. And then since probably like Saturday or Sunday, this is Wednesday morning that I'm recording this. So like since Saturday or Sunday, so like a few days now, it's like they're getting along the best that they have in years, which is like amazing. We're getting a whole bunch of stuff organized at our house, which is awesome. Not everyone is helping with that, which is fine. Some people are, it's not just me, so that's good. But yeah. Anyway, let's get to it. My offer to you on this class is a whole entire restorative practice based around a chair. So we've got one of our little chairs here. I am so lucky that when I opened the studio, my very best friend in the world is the most prepared person I have ever met. And she had like, oh gosh, I don't know, she had a lot of extra chairs at her house for when they have guests over for like birthdays and Christmas dinners and stuff. So she very graciously lent me 10 chairs for the studio, for our chair yoga and stuff, because she's awful. So I have a folding chair. You don't have to use a folding chair. You could use a dining room chair. You could use your couch. You could use a stool. You can use whatever you want. If it was something that was like really hard on the top, like a solid wood surface or something, only because we're looking to be incredibly comfortable in these postures, I would maybe recommend putting like a blanket or something over top, just so you have like a little bit of cushion between your bones and the. So, anyways, other than that, you might want a pillow, which may or may not be used, but I always like to have everything handy when I'm getting ready. The other thing is just a little blanket. If you were cold, you could have a couple of blankets with you so that you can use the blankets as props, but you can also use the blanket to cover up and stay warm, which is my absolute favorite way to practice restorative yoga. Like all bundled up, like you can barely even see any part of me. Everything covered in sandbags and blankets. But anyways, that's my style. So you can choose what feels the best for you. But we're going to start off in a restorative version of downward facing dog. So we can come all the way up to stand. And for my restorative version of downward dog, I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. I'm just going to stand a little bit away from my chair. So there's a few different ways I could do this. One way I could do this is just have my hands or my forearms come onto the chair. Feet can be as close to or as far away from the chair as you want them to be. It could be right here. Another way to do a restorative version of downward dog, depending on the height of the back of your chair and what it's made of, when I do this, I put a blanket over top because the metal digging into my hip bones is like hella uncomfortable. But from here, I just kind of lay my hips across and then come down. And I'm in a restorative version of downward dog. Play around. See what feels the most comfortable for you. I'm going to come back and I'm going to go back to the arms here like this. And we could stay in whatever version of this you choose. We could stay here for about 2 minutes. If you haven't seen some of the other videos with these like restorative Indian style practices where there's just a lot of hang time, where we're in the poses but nothing's really happening in them, I have been asking you to just pause the video and set a timer for as long as you want to be in the pose for, which allows you to, number one, tailor the practice to how much time you have. And it allows you to assess how comfortable the pose is in your body and choose how long you want to spend in it. The other thing it does, because I am currently stuck downriver, the studio, the internet cuts in and out. My internet at home is like pretty much dial-up because we live out in Fort Wright, and like the internet is not awesome. And when we're in this wonderful state that we're in right now, where everyone is constantly on phones, TVs, everything, because everyone's stuck inside, the more people in my neighborhood that are using internet services, the slower my internet becomes. And so I've been trying to keep the length of the videos a little bit smaller because it gives me a slightly easier time with uploading them. Super fun. So anyways, once you find the version of restorative downward facing dog that feels the most comfortable for you, you can hold it for, I would say, like maybe only 2 minutes. Another version of this that you can do too, downward dog feels super comfy in your body and it feels like a restorative pose. If you were to have like a big pillow or something underneath your head, you could come down and then rest your head onto the pillow. And this, or like in the studio, sometimes you can teach this version with like a block or something, but you could have like a stack of books under your head, a pillow under your head. You can kind of make it work with what you got, but find the version that feels the most comfortable for you right now. And you can set your timer for as long as you want to, whether that's just like the regular timer that comes on your phone. I really love the Insight timer, like the chimes that it has. This piece of hair is like magnetized to my mouth. It's continually coming back in. It's gonna eventually drive me crazy, I think. I really like the sounds on the Insight timer. They're wonderful. They're gentle. It's a nice gentle sound to bring you out of your restorative posture. So find your way in, spend as much time as you would like, and then we'll come to the pose together. So you can press play again on this once you're ready for the pose. So coming out of the pose, I'm going to slowly myself back up, all the way up. And I'm going to come down to sit on the ground. Now, we could, I wish I brought a sweater today, but I did not. We're gonna come into a forward fold. We could take like a blanket under our knees. That feels comfy. We could have a chair in front of us. We could not have a blanket under our knees. That feels better. Sometimes when I'm doing forward fold, I really love the feeling of just tucking my blanket kind of just underneath my tailbone. Like not even really, like if I thought about where the bones are in my butt, like I'm maybe going a tiny bit in, I have like extra soft tissue that's hanging off onto the blanket. But under my bones, like really just under my tailbone, but my sitting bones are still right on the floor. It just helps me get that forward fold. It feels supported and a little more grounded. That's how it feels for me anyways. But maybe you just come and rest arms on the chair. Nice. Maybe the chair not farther away from you. And we come forward. Maybe we stretch our arms out long. Let our head lift. Maybe. Maybe we have a pillow on here, and our forehead comes to a pillow. Our hands come to the legs. Maybe we have our forehead come here. Our hands will come to the bottom bars. Legs. Or the chair legs. Possibilities are endless. Probably not endless. There's probably ways that could come into this pose, but we'll find our way into the most comfortable version of this for today. And then, so first pose, we only held for about 2 minutes because it's an inversion. But this one we can hold for longer. So for this one, we could set our timer for anywhere between like 5 and 10 minutes and hold in the pose. And again, just because you set a timer doesn't mean that you are bound to stay in that pose for that length of time. If you come into the pose and before the timer goes off, it feels like it would be beneficial for you to come out of the pose early because it's starting to feel uncomfortable in your body for any reason, then come out of the pose. If it is feeling incredibly emotionally unsettling to be still right now in this pose, you can come out early. If we feel like we want to come out of the pose early because we're just bored and we're like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever, maybe that's a time where we lean in a little bit and we stay until the timer goes off. Being still can be unsettling. Being still can be really hard if we're used to or accustomed to being busy all the time. So come out, we listen to our body, we honor our body. An extreme emotional response, we honor ourselves, and we come out of the pose. Aversion to being still, that's when maybe we kind of challenge ourselves to remain with the practice and maybe focus on our breathing and kind of feeling the rise and fall of our breath, the inhale and exhale. Or maybe we just watch our thoughts. Like a thought comes into our brain, we go, oh, that's a good thought. I wonder what my next thought would be. Find your most comfortable version, and then maybe set a timer for between 5 and 15 minutes, 5 and 10 minutes. And then you can pause the video and then we'll come out of the pose together. slowly make our way back up to seated. And you're going to come into a wide leg position at this point. So I'm just going to take my feet out from under the chair. I really, really like the blanket under my tailbone in this version. Chair can come back in. And again, I could have it like real close here so that I'm sitting straight up. So I don't even need to fold forward at all, especially if it feels good in my body or it feels really tight. I'm going to let my feet roll whatever way. Some people's feet might naturally have an inclination to roll out. Some people's feet might have a natural inclination to roll in. We could stay nice and tall here like this. We could come forward and down. We could bring our head to rest on the chair. And kind of play around with this and see what feels the best in your body right now. And again, just like we did in the last pose, we'll spend between like 5 and 15 minutes in this pose. Coming out of this pose here, we'll take a minute, bring our legs slightly closer together. Maybe we move the chair out of the way. So I moved my chair, but if you're using like a couch or something, you're probably not going to pick it up and scoot it out of the way. So maybe you turn your body so that you can stretch your legs out. And just notice how it feels to come out of that pose. Is going to be a little twist. So when I come into this twist, depending on what feels comfortable here, I could have a blanket underneath my hip for a little bit of cushion on my bottom hip. I could have like a pillow in between my knees when I come into this pose. I could have one leg resting on top of the other. I could take like a blanket and cover up in this pose. Do whatever I want here. And then when I come into the pose, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn towards the hard surface that I'm using, couch, chair, stool, whatever it is. And I'm just going to start to lower my torso down towards it. So I might have my arms resting and then like come down with my forehead. I could have one arm down. I could have like a pillow here if that first version was too much of a twist. More twist. I could also change the position of the chair. I still wanted to come forward a little bit more, but I didn't like the sensation of the twist when I was all the way over here. I could change the position of my body slightly or change the position of my chair slightly so that I'm still coming forward, but I'm not quite as deep in the twist. So you can find the version of this pose that feels the nicest for you today, and we'll hold this pose for between 5 and 15 minutes again. And you can pause the video and then we'll check in before we do the other side. This pose here, all the way back up to seated. I'm going to move the chair because then I can still face you. But you can move your body, if that's easier, to turn so that the other hip is down on the floor. You can position your legs however you want. One thing I should have maybe mentioned too is like, my legs could be kind of like this, but my bottom leg could be like way back here if I wanted. When I come into this stretch, because we're practicing restorative, we're not really looking for an incredible stretch here. We're looking for really gentle sensation in the bottom. Gentle sensation in the bottom. We're looking for very gentle sensation in the body. But sometimes, especially for me, if I'm feeling particularly in my head or anxious, sometimes I need to feel my body first via like a stretch sensation or something along those lines if I'm practicing a slower practice like this to get out of my head. And then I can always back off on the pose a little bit so that I can get more comfortable into it once I feel like I've kind of calmed down a little bit. So if my leg is kind of more behind me, then when I turn, I'm going to get more sensation in my hip flexor, in front of my thigh. This here, I'm going to get all of that just in my back, a little bit in my belly. So you can find a version of this that feels the most comfortable for you today. We'll hold it between 5 and 15 minutes. You can pause the video and then we'll meet up again after. Way back up out of this pose. We're going to get ready to come into our very last pose. So this one, the height of your, like the length of your thigh bone and the height of your chair will matter just a little bit here. It doesn't matter if you're with your butt on the ground, if your knees are a little bit higher, if you kind of come down the chair. But when you set up into this pose, if your bum doesn't come to the floor, then we're going to take like a blanket or something, fold it up and put it underneath so that the bottom is totally supported. We come into this pose. And you can have, I really like the feeling of having a little bit of weight on my shins when I come into this particular posture. In a studio, we have like sandbags. At your house, you may not. So you could use like a nice heavy blanket. You could use with like a big book on top of it or something if you want that sensation of weight. When I have that feeling of weight on my shins, it feels like my legs are stable and it allows me to let all of the muscles in my hips relax more than if my legs are not, don't have any weight on them at all. Another thing too here, you might take a blanket or something to cover up your body in this pose. It's going to be our last one before Shavasana. Another thing is you are welcome to have like a pillow or something if you want to. So when I come into this pose, just want to demonstrate first. So say I was coming onto the ground and one second. Say I was coming onto the ground and when I put my legs all the way up, like I want my legs all the way up so that my knees and the back of my knees are touching the edge, if I can do that, if that works. When I come down, if my bum isn't touching the ground solidly, then I might just slide. Like I could start with like a folded blanket coming under my bum. Or I could bring a pillow under my bum. Whatever it is to lift the floor up to where the back of my pelvis is. And then I could do this pillow here. Could put weight on my legs. for a little more comfort. I can put weight on my chest, like gentle weight, like a blanket or something like that. And then take a minute here to start to imagine all of your muscles relaxing. So the knees might fall apart a little bit. The feet relaxed. Muscles in the hips soften. Back, shoulders relax. You can pause this here. Start a timer for between 5 and 15 minutes. Gentle. We want to try to keep the body as relaxed as we can before we go into our rest mode. Coming out of this pose, if I have something on my legs, I might kind of reach down. I'm going to pull my knees closer to me and then reach down and take the weight off. I can roll over to my side and come all the way back to seated. And then you come into Shavasana. So you can find a comfortable position to lie in. You could support your neck with rolled up. You can find a comfortable position. You could have the knees bent. You could have a pillow tucked under your knees with the legs out long, but the pillow just supports a gentle bend. Legs may stretched out. Palms might face up towards the ceiling. Fingertips might curl towards the palm. And just start to slow down our breathing. Little by little, over and over. Just settling into the floor. And after 15 minutes, bring yourself out of Shavasana. Bring yourself out of Shavasana, nice and gentle. You're waking up from a long nap.